So I'm a plant guy. One of my first companies that actually took off and make money when I was in college was a landscape construction business. And one of the phrases that we use in that business, as I learned, I went to school for that, I went to college for that. Uh, and one of the phrases that you hear a lot was right plant, right place. And
Okay.
the lesson behind it is, if you're going to if you have somebody by their front door and you're going to plant a plant, you want to plant something that's going to like stay the right size to be near somebody's front door, for example. If you plant something that's going to get 20 feet tall and 30 feet wide, you're just creating a problem, right? You're
Yes.
constantly
Okay.
having to hack it back, and you're trying to get this plant to do a job it was not created to do. Okay.
Okay. I'm with
So
you. Yep, following
now
you.
we'll segue
Yes.
this here. I've taken that once I left that business decades ago. Um, I started thinking of that concept works with people as well, and with your business, it's right person, right position. And I'm not,
Oh, I like
and
this.
yeah, and what I want to talk about is because there's some nuance to it. This is not just, oh, well, you get somebody that's good and then you just keep promoting them. Because
All right. Look,
that was it. That's
sorry.
okay. That's all
I
right.
pushed the wrong button. We're just
It's
going to leave
highly
it in.
unusual.
It's
We're
totally
going to
fine.
put this date, July 9th at 1:30 p.m. because that's the thing. Okay, anyway.
I was
So,
going to remove the banner from the
yeah,
bottom
yeah.
here in the video
Yeah.
thing, which I know
cool.
99% of you don't even see,
Yeah,
and yet
that's good.
there I am pushing the wrong
I
button.
like the music. I love Shopify. They are I could do a whole show
I
on why I
agree.
love them so much. But anyway,
Yep.
so you get people in, and it's the typical. Okay, you start them out at some level. They're good at that job, and you're like, well, maybe this person would be good at that. Let's move them up, and let's move them up. And a really common example of the Peter principle is you have a salesperson that you keep promoting, giving more responsibility, and eventually they become the sales manager.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
no.
that is an entirely different position than the awesome on fire salesperson that was closing deals and real aggressive and everything. Now that person has to have empathy and great listening skills and leadership and persuasion skills.
Yeah, that which it takes to sell is not that which it
Very
takes to
different.
manage.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Now, if you're fortunate, some of them do good. But in my experience, some of the folks that are just okay at selling become very good managers because they have a different
Yes.
skill set, right?
Right person, right position.
Right position,
Yeah.
right position. Yeah. So I like to just, you kind of have to look at the roles of your people and and keep track. You almost have to have a database of what are their skills, and you have to observe them. Are they good listeners? Can they talk to customers very well? And you don't want to move these people out of what they're really good at. It gets what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And as entrepreneurs, we are always thinking of moving up, right? Oh, how do we make more sales? How do we book more of this? How do we get more clients? How do we start another company? You need to understand that your employees do not always think that way. Some of them may want to continue to move up, but some of them are happy. They want a great place to work. They want a competitive salary. They want autonomy. Very important for your
And
sense of
not
self-worth.
necessarily in the order you
No.
are articulating here.
Money is
Yeah.
often down the road or down the list because and the other thing that's really important
They want
is
flexibility if you can give that
flex
to
time.
them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I go see my kid's baseball game?
Yes.
Play? And man, that stuff is easy to give. And
I
it
think
is-
so.
I think
Yeah.
so too. And it's
Yeah.
super valuable. So as you're thinking about this right person, right position, don't always think that you've got to move somebody up to another level. And I've made this mistake over and over, when I was younger, thinking that, oh, well, that technician wants to eventually run this department. And I used to make this stupid comment. I'd walk around and I would go, well, don't you want my job someday? And then eventually I saw enough people go, no,
Yeah.
I don't want your job, that I had a hard time understanding it. And so I had to kind of walk back or tone down my entrepreneurial spiel, if you will, that is going along in my head all the time,
Yes.
and realize that there are, some of your most valuable people, they may stay in that same position forever, but you've enhanced their job. Perhaps they take on a little more responsibility. They're making more money because they're better at their job, or saving money, or more productive, or whatever it is. But you don't have to move them. I think you have to move them up constantly.
No. I have a friend who's been at Apple for 6 years. And there was probably a 15-year period where we were in touch, but not, not at any deep level. Like there was no falling out. Where just lives went different directions.
Sure.
And we wound up syncing back up a couple of years ago. And he literally helped start a department that was blessed at the hands of Steve Jobs. Like Steve created this department.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I was like, hey, man, and I'm not going to say his name here because I've already shared more than he probably would ever want me to share. But I was like, hey, I assume you're like a manager. Like he was the first, there was the sort of founder of the department that was brought on, and then him. He was like number two, and it was two of them for probably 5 years before it ever grew to what it is today, where there might be 30 people in this department. And I just presumed that he was leading the department because the other guys moved on. And he's like, oh, no, I don't want to be a manager. He's like, I tell them no. And he's like, I'm happy to work at the salary that I've worked at. Now, he's worked at Apple for 26 years, and I don't think he's an idiot with his money. So he probably has some vested stock that sort of changes his outlook for life. But he's like, no, he's like, I like doing what I do, and I don't want to stop doing what I do. It's like, just because I've been doing it for 2.5 decades doesn't change the fact that this is what I like to do.
That's right. And I think that's very important to recognize for yourself.
I was just going to say, for ourselves as entrepreneurs, we don't have to necessarily be at the top. There are places and times where it makes sense to hire someone to run our business for us, even if we're at a, operational or technician level or whatever. If we want to work in the business, it's fine. Let somebody else make the strategic decisions if that's not what we're good at.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Absolutely. And I've lost good employees by pushing them to take on more, responsibility, to become a manager. And many people don't want to manage other people, and they're miserable at it. And
I'm one of them, by the way. I know I do manage other people, but it's not my favorite thing. It's not why I do what I do.
Yeah.
I have to do it. I'm fine with it, but I understand where my weaknesses are, which I think helps, at least helps the people that I have to manage. But
and let me tell you, if you promote someone and it doesn't work out, it's very tough to bring them back. I mean, you can do it, but it's hard on them, on the department. And, I'd love some examples or some tips on the best way if you've promoted somebody forward and it didn't work and you didn't want to lose them, so you brought them back down. And I've done it, but it's pretty bumpy. And so I guess it's just trying to be aware of the message that your employee is telling you.